Hi, I'm here on location in one of the biggest crises in United States history. Where am I? I'm in Izmir, Turkey. Hi, Miss Simmons. I'm Miss The beginning of the Kennedy administration did not get off to a good start in regards to the Cold War. In 1961, Kennedy launched an invasion on the island of Cuba that had recently fallen to communism. The Bay of Pigs invasion was a complete failure and an embarrassment to the U.S. and to Kennedy. After seizing power in 1959, Fidel Castro aligned himself with the Soviet Union. After U.S. aggression in the Bay of Pigs invasion, this pushed Castro to seek protection and economic aid from the USSR. The two superpower nations, USA and the USSR, plunged into one of their biggest Cold War confrontations after an American spy plane passed over Cuba in October 1962. The U-2 spy plane photographed a Soviet SS-4 medium-range ballistic missile being assembled. For the American officials, the urgency of the situation stemmed from the fact that the nuclear-armed Cuban missiles were to be installed so close to the U.S. mainland, just 90 miles south of Florida. From Cuba, they were capable of reaching targets in the eastern U.S. It could reach New York City or Washington, D.C. within 10 minutes. Why would Khrushchev do this? Kennedy whined. It would be like us, the U.S., putting missiles in Turkey. Oh, okay, now I see the problem. The Soviets had long felt uneasy about the number of nuclear weapons that were targeted at them from sites in Italy and Turkey, and they saw the deployment of the missiles in Cuba as a way to even the playing field. From the outset of the crisis, Kennedy determined that the presence of Soviet missiles in Cuba was unacceptable. The challenge facing them was to orchestrate their removal without initiating a wider conflict and possibly a nuclear war. First, Kennedy would employ the U.S. Navy to establish a blockade, or a quarantine, of the island to prevent the Soviets from delivering additional missiles and military equipment. Second, he would deliver an ultimatum that the existing missiles be removed. In a television broadcast on October 22, 1962, President Kennedy notified Americans about the presence of the missiles. He explained his decision to enact the blockade, and it made it clear that the U.S. was prepared to use military force if necessary to neutralize this perceived threat to national security.
Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. To halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated. It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union.
Following this public declaration, people around the globe are on high alert, and they nervously waited for the Soviets' response. A crucial moment in the unfolding crisis arrived on October 24th, when Soviet ships bound for Cuba neared the line of the U.S. blockade. An attempt by the Soviets to breach that blockade would likely spark a military confrontation, and that would quickly escalate to a nuclear exchange. That night, the U.S. Attorney General, JFK's younger brother, Bobby Kennedy, sneaks into the Soviet embassy. It is a back channel that the Kennedys have used before. Bobby asked the ambassador if the ships will stop for the US blockade. The Soviet ambassador has no communication from Moscow, but he said they would not. America goes to DEFCON 2, but the Soviet ships stopped short of the blockade. American battleships did find a Soviet sub and tried to signal the submarine to come up so they could talk to them. The submarine hasn't talked to Moscow in over 48 hours, and the American ship signaling them sounded like bombs, so the men think the war has started. The sub is equipped with missiles, and both the political officer and captain vote to launch the missiles. But one man, Vasily, votes no. He didn't know it then, but he just saved the world. Despite the enormous tensions, Soviet and American leaders found a way out of the impasse. October 26, Khrushchev sent a message to Kennedy proposing that the USSR would dismantle its missiles in Cuba if the Americans removed their missiles in Turkey. American officials agreed to withdraw the nation's missiles from Turkey. Bobby Kennedy personally delivered the message to the Soviet ambassador in Washington. On October 28th, the crisis finally drew to a close after 13 terrifying days. These leaders began the crisis thinking the Cold War was a chessboard, but the game they were playing was more like rolling the dice. The Cold War will continue on for another 23 years, and the doomsday clock continues to slip closer to midnight.